stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
A year ago, Daniel resolved to stop putting off what he wanted, a career in information technology. He enrolled in My Computer Career and is now a few months into his IT career. Make 2020 your year. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You could start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Classes are on campus or live online. It's not rocket science. It's My Computer Career. mycomputercareer.edu.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard. Aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
This is Sunday Rewind.
Take it back now, y'all.
Down, flip it and reverse it.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now, here are your hosts, Tom Stevens and Mike Melbye.
Hey, they put us back on the radio. That's crazy. They gave me a mic? Impossible. Tom Stevens back. It is the Sunday Rewind. That is Mike Melbye. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Tom. How are you? Yeah, it's interesting. We're off probation, I guess.
Double secret?
Yep.
Double secret probation. We're off. But let's get off literally. Oh, wait a minute. That didn't sound right. But let's get started on the Sunday Rewind.
See that? Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's old school.
Yeah?
No school like the old school.
That's not really what I wanted to play. But anyway, we are starting where this is the very first episode of the Sunday Rewind. It's going to be the fastest hour, literally, in sports history. Every Sunday. I can't wait for fall camp to get started, Mike.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be fun.
Then we'll go to 2 hours. But for this part of our show, as we get started, it's going to be just quick, and through the summer, we're going to go an hour, and then into fall camp, we'll go for 2 hours on the Sunday Rewind. Let's get started, though, with Husker baseball. They fall today. They lose 2-1, the series, that is, to Minnesota, maybe the worst team in the Big Ten. They fall today.
There's no maybe.
Minnesota had won, I think,
other series.
Two other games in the Big Ten.
Oh.
They were 13-31 going into this weekend, and they beat Nebraska on the road. Nebraska falls 3-1 today after falling in 12 innings yesterday, 9-8. It's not looking good for Will Bolt and Nebraska baseball right now.
No, it really isn't. And there's an it factor that we always talk about, and you can talk about it with individual players, with teams. They just seem to have it. Whatever it is, that team seems to be missing. Now, don't discount the injuries and the guys that are out of the lineup or not able to perform to the fullest and best of their abilities. Colby Gomez is one, especially only played in 14 games this year. His arm and bat both huge for this team. And I love Will Bolt. He's a great coach. He's got a great staff. That team's going to figure it out. It's not probably going to be this year. You never know.
Yeah.
But it's just not their year.
They're, I think, ninth now in the Big Ten. It's going to take some work. They've got 2 series left, I think, Illinois and Michigan State. And they're pretty much going to have to, as you mentioned before the show, 5-1 in those 2 series to get to the Big Ten tournament. And you'd like to be in the Big Ten tournament because you'd like to think Nebraska could win it when it's played in Omaha at a TD Ameritrade, but we'll see. We've got a busy show for you. We're going to talk some Husker hoops. We've got football. Nebraska in the portal a lot since the season ended, and they still have some needs to be met. They've grabbed 12 guys from the portal. We'll talk some NBA playoffs a little bit later on. How much power does the NCAA have left? Mark Emmert is on his way out. We'll talk a little bit about that and where the portal is headed and how much power the NCAA will have. The Kentucky Derby, an 80-1. Rich Strike wins that. Also, a new movie, Day by Day, is coming out, produced by Josh Davis, the son of Tony Davis. But let's get started.
Absolutely. The one thing that I want to talk about, too, that's current, happened earlier today at Bowlin Stadium. Ronda Ravella and the softball team walk it off against Indiana. and wind up taking that series 2-1. I don't know if they're tied for the lead now in the Big Ten or if they're still in second. Bottom line is it's been a great rebound year for softball. Fantastic for that program. Obviously, Rhonda was involved in a lot of turmoil a couple of years ago. Kept her job and kept fighting. Her and Lori Sipple have put it back together. I think back to the early 2000s when, man, it was perennial that you're like, they're going to go to the College World Series. They got a shot. They got a shot. And, it's been a little rocky for a while, but they really got it rolling this year. Props to them.
Yeah. It's as bad as Husker men's sports have been, and in particular, Husker baseball, football, and basketball over the last year. And you're talking about dead last right now in the Big Ten in those three sports when you combine them. The women's sports have been really good. They've been really good.
Let me ask you this. We've talked a little bit about it, but the three big men's sports, football, basketball, and baseball, is this year the absolute worst combined that those three sports have ever been in the history of Nebraska athletics.
Yes.
Okay. I was just asking.
Baseball's at an all-time low. This is the worst season since 1974? Going back a long, long time. And John Sanders had some bad years. He was always always around 500.
Yeah.
But basketball, Danny Nee was really good. And then you always had, guys like Doc Sadler or Barry Collier that were around 500. And now you're talking about Fred Hoiberg. We thought, that's a slam dunk. You're good to go. 7, 7, and then 10 through the first 3 seasons of Nebraska basketball. So in men's sports, there's no way around it. They're bad.
Yeah.
But I will say this. We're just talking about Nebraska baseball and falling to Minnesota this weekend. That's the best of the three. They are coming off a Big Ten championship.
Yep.
And I have full confidence in Will Bolt.
Same here.
And Lance Harvell that thing is going to get turned around.
Same here.
It's, by the way, give some credit to our buddy Darren Erstad. It's not like he left the cupboard bare for Will Bolt. I think he kind of proved that. You don't win a Big 12 or Big Ten championship without talent. Darren Erstad left the plate fairly full, and then Will Bolt took over along with Lance Harvell, and they win a championship.
Yeah, and they brought in a lot of guys too, but you're exactly right. And the thing that I think Erstad left more than anything wasn't necessarily talent. I think it was a culture. A professional culture.
Yeah.
There's a way to win, and sometimes a better culture, as PJ Fleck would say, will beat talent.
Right.
And at any rate, but yeah, I complete confidence in Will Bolt and Coach Horvell. They're going to figure it out and get things rolling. Who knows? I'm not going to bet against them if on either them getting to the Big Ten tournament this year or if they do making noise.
Yeah.
Because that there's strings and buttons they haven't pulled and they haven't pushed yet, and they're going to do it, and they're fighting till the end.
Yeah, well, they've had injuries. They obviously had to rebuild that entire pitching staff from last year. They have some pieces. Cam Chicks, Max Anderson, obviously really good, but that pitching staff was rebuilt from scratch. And then they didn't get any help. Kyle Perry going down very early in the season really hurt. That's your team captain, or at least one of them. I'm very confident about Husker baseball, and maybe even, them rebounding before the seasons. If you said, what are the chances Nebraska makes the Big Ten tournament? I would say 50-50 at least, because I just have that much confidence in Will Bolt.
Yeah. The thing that holds me back from being 50-50 on him right now is 9 walks and 3 errors today. No. And that's been a storyline in pretty much every game they've lost. There's too many walks. There's too many errors. And that wasn't happening last year.
Yeah.
Bottom line, like I said, though, they had some injuries. Jackson Jelkin, the guy that was probably one of their better pitchers after a bunch of injuries, he's no longer with the team. So
let's move on to Husker hoops. Nebraska missed out on Baylor Shireman in the portal. Now they've missed out on Baylor Shireman, who chose Creighton in the portal. And, of course, then they lose, even before that, Antonio Reeves, who chooses Kentucky over Nebraska. What's left in your mind in the portal? Baylor Shireman was considered the best player out there. Antonio Reeves was not far behind him. Both right around 6'5", 6'6". Shireman, the Summit Player of the Year. I don't know if he really had offers from Duke and Carolina and Kansas. I think they gave a peek. But Kentucky, probably not either. But Creighton definitely wanted him, and they get him. And here, I said this when we were on with Bach, and I want your response to it. When Nebraska got O'Shawn Matthews, I think that they spent, who knows how much they spent. I think they spent a lot of money to get O'Shawn Matthews. And I understand it's not coming from the athletic department. It's coming from the collective. So
I was going to say the collective spent a lot of money.
The collective spent, but there's only so much in that pot. And after you spent allegedly $500,000 on O'Shawn Mathis, you might think, you know what? I'm not spending another $500,000 on Baylor Shireman.
You made a comment on Friday that Creighton may have overpaid for him
to keep him away from Nebraska.
Yeah, and I can't
think
argue
that's possible.
that. I think it's very possible. And again, Creighton didn't overpay. A collective of Creighton fans overpaid. But still, the young man's very, very talented. And I wish him personally nothing but success. I hope he becomes a first-team All-American. I hope he's the Big East Player of the Year. And I also hope that his team, the Creighton Blue Jays, lose every stinking game next year.
Why is it that Creighton, even more so than Duke or Kansas, just makes me angry? What is it about Creighton till the day I die that just steam rises from my head every time I mention Creighton? Is it the blue? Is it the snobs that they are? Is it the fact that they hate Nebraska football, or they love Nebraska football, I should say, and hate Nebraska basketball?
That could be.
I mean, that's the definition of a J-sker. Do you have a definition for a J-sker?
I can't say it on the air. I'm sorry. Anyway, now you asked a question too. Who's left in the portal for the basketball team? And I've got two guys for you.
All right.
You know, give me a little bit about both of them. Not a ton, but we all know a little bit, but not a ton. Courtney Ramey, 6'3" guard, playing at Texas last year, and Umoja Gibson, 6'1" guard out of Oklahoma, that has entered the transfer portal. To me, there's a couple other guys that they're looking at as well, but to me, those are the top two players that are left in the portal that Nebraska has on their board. The flip side of, hey, those are the top two players they have on their board. My question is, do we really want either one of them, or are they simply going to be a guy that's going to get 3 to 5 minutes a game if they even play?
We brought this up to Bach on Friday. Who's your leading scorer? It's probably Sam Griesel, because he averaged 12 points a game at North Dakota State. So maybe that's your guy. Is Juan Gary your leading scorer? Is it CJ Wilcher? Is it Blaze Keita? Is it Derek Walker? Or is it just because you've got some nice pieces. You do have some nice pieces potentially for Nebraska basketball, but you don't have a guy where you look at, oh, yeah, Bryce McGowan's is going to give you 17 points a game, and there's no doubt about it. He's going to be your leading scorer, and whoever is the second leading scorer, we'll just argue about that after the game.
But to the point that either you or Bach made, or maybe I made it, I don't remember. But who cares? Because if you don't have two guys who are far more worried about how many points they're getting, not going to name names, Alonzo Verge and Bryce McGowan's, but Bryce, arguably, there's a good reason why he was getting all the points. But if you're more worried about the consistency of the team, the chemistry of the team, and I'm going to quote Baylor Shireman here, if they run Coach Hoiberg's offense the right way, which they didn't do, by the way, last year,
whose fault is that?
You're going to have different guys. Well, it's the coaching staff's
fault.
My
buddy DP, exactly, who owns this radio station, by the way, says, the adults in the room are always to blame. You get what you demand. That's an old coaching cliche. And if you're not getting it, that's on the coaches. That's not on the players.
Well, and Kobe Webster coming, I think it was on this station. As a matter of fact, Kobe Webster made the comment about, coaches aren't holding guys accountable in practice. I talked to coach, so it's okay that I say this publicly. Flip side is Nate Linzer. I want to point him out. Alonzo Verge, I would have rather had him not play the rest of the year after 15 games because of Nate Linzer and what he did to Alonzo Verge from a standpoint of making him understand how he fits better with our team, how he's going to become a better individual player to possibly go on and play in the NBA. That last 10 games of the year, Alonzo Verge was literally the best point guard in the Big Ten.
Right.
And I'm like, man, I'm glad he's playing for us.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice that you're developing guys, and you could say the same thing about Delano Banton, right? Delano Banton. Yeah, you won 7 games. You were a terrible basketball team, but look what he did for Delano Banton. Lenzer, I believe, was that he
wasn't here then.
He wasn't even here yet. So you can't give that.
But just Fred and the staff, though. That's the
right.
whole
But
thing.
Fred has developed. I mean, that's kind of what he's building his recruiting base on. Hey, I'll get you to the NBA. We may be terrible, but we're going to get you to the NBA.
Let me ask you this real quick, because we got to get through stuff. You and I talk way too much, so maybe we won't.
We are blabbermouths.
I know we are. If Delano Banton decides to come back to Nebraska last year, Alonzo Verge does not play for Nebraska. Does Nebraska win more than 10 games?
I don't know.
And the other question is, if they won more than 10 games, would they get to the point where they won enough to get into the postseason NIT? No?
No, I just don't see it. Delano was like Alonzo, not a good three-point shooter, not a good free throw shooter either. Alonzo Verge was very good around the rim. He led the Big Ten in assists.
Yep.
He was very good in the mid-range. So he didn't even try to shoot a lot of threes. Delano did try to shoot a lot of threes, and he wasn't very good at it. He was a much better rebounder, obviously, but I just don't think that he would. I think his game actually suits the NBA better than it does college basketball.
That's what I wanted to ask, because if Banton would have stayed, Alonzo Verge would not have been a Nebraska Cornhusker.
No,
you're
right. I think your point is a good one. Lenzer turned the guy that was the 6th man of the year, I believe, in the Pac-12 into an all Big Ten type point guard. He wasn't, but he was.
But by the end of the year, he was. That's the point. So.
464-5685 if you'd like to dial us up on the Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Sutter Heyman text line. Got to say happy Mother's Day.
Absolutely. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. And if you are one of those people that right now went, oh, darn.
Oh, yeah. It's Mother's Day.
Call mom.
Actually, I caught you earlier, and then you called your mom. I had to remind you to call Mike's mom. I had to remind him it's Mother's Day.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true.
You did call her, though.
I did. You did. Now, do you know what her and my dad are doing? Right. This is the weird family that I come from. Mom wanted to go see all of the destruction from the fires out around Cambridge. They live in Alma.
What do you want to do for Mother's Day? Well, let's go look at the fire.
The fire's now out, but they want to go out and see all the damage at Cambridge, because they live like 35 miles.
Your parents were like my parents.
Yeah, they live 35 miles
now
southeast of where that big, like at the time was the 3rd largest wildfire in the United States was.
Oh,
so that's what they're doing. They're out sightseeing.
Here's a sign that you're over 50. You see,
mirror?
Like you'll know, like you're on the golf course with a guy like my buddies. Must be the Kansas fires. Does you smell that? I think it's fires from, and then we always blame Kansas, right?
Well, they are to blame.
They are to blame for pretty much everything. Even the Royals. My God, the Royals are. Well, I think they won their first game today against the Baltimore Royals. So at least we got that going for us.
Well, I was gonna say,
which is nice.
You and your Royals, and me and my Texas Rangers are
not much better.
No,
we're both pretty terrible as far as our baseball teams are concerned. But at least I'm guaranteed a world championship every 30 years. You have, I think, 0 with the Rangers.
No, you don't even need to think. I could tattoo 0. Yeah, that's a permanent thing.
I do want to get into some football notes. Is there anything else you want to talk about as far as basketball is concerned?
No, we covered quite a bit.
Okay, we did cover some ground there. It'll be interesting to see if they do go into the portal and grab somebody because, as we mentioned, Antonio Reeves gone, Baylor Shireman gone. I don't know what they could get, but you did throw out a couple of names, and I appreciate that. Yeah. Nebraska football has grabbed 12 guys from the portal.
Yep. 12. According to you, 7 starters.
I think there are 7 starters. I'm going to make an argument that there are 7. Oh, by the way, a quick basketball note. I should go back to this. Nebraska did pick up a commitment from Cale Jacobson. He is a walking on to Husker Hoops 6'4" guard. First team All-Nebraskan selection. The only guy outside of Class A that was named to All-Nebraska, the All-Nebraska list.
From Ashland.
18 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. So a good pickup for Nebraska basketball because he did have Division I offers from North Dakota and Holy Cross and several other schools. He's not Baylor Shireman or he's not Antonio Reeves, but he could develop into a nice little piece. So
absolutely.
We'll see where that goes for Nebraska basketball. Now moving on to Husker football. Mentioned that they've grabbed 12 guys from the portal. I think maybe as many as 7 starters. Do you want to hear who I think are the 7 starters?
I do. I've been kind of like anxious for this.
All right. Here are my 7 starters. Casey Thompson, quarterback, transfer from Texas. Have you heard of him?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. His name was in the paper once.
I'm not sure he's been mentioned up until this show right now.
Well,
Casey Thompson.
Breaking news. We'll fix it if it breaks.
I think Casey Thompson, it's the first time he's been mentioned by anybody since this show started about 10 minutes ago, 18 minutes ago, the first night of Husker Rewind. I think he will be the starter, and I don't know how good he'll be, but I don't know who his competition is. Maybe it's Chubba Purdy. But Chubba Purdy didn't practice all spring.
And he didn't practice all spring, yet to me, he looked like the best quarterback on the field.
Yeah,
so,
but that's,
and I get it. It was a two-hand touch game.
And
I get
even
it,
when they
but-
touched him, they didn't call him down.
Well, no, that was Grant. So.
That was Anthony Grant. I also think O'Shawn Mathis will be a starter at defensive end.
And side note with O'Shawn Mathis, go watch his tape. There's about a 2.5, 3-minute tape that's been going around on Twitter that a lot of people. He doesn't play the position. He's not the same, and I'm not comparing him to Ndamukong Suh, but the way he tossed some guys around like ragdolls, especially some Texas Longhorn players,
right?
I have not seen a Nebraska player do something like that since Suh. He has that innate ability to break free from a block, get clear, and he's got speed that you do not expect out of someone his size.
You said Suh. I would say Randy Gregory. I think he's the closest.
Same position, yeah.
The closest thing I've seen at Nebraska to Randy Gregory since Randy Gregory.
Yep.
Same type of size, too. 6'5", 6'6". Randy Gregory was undersized in college. I don't think Randy ever got over 230.
I'm sure he wasn't undersized for a wrong reason.
What are you referring to, Mike? I have no idea.
Nothing.
I have no idea
Cheetos?
what Mike Melbye could be referring to as far as
Cheetos. I need some Cheetos.
Those problems are long gone for Randy Gregory.
They are. Hey,
now he's in the mile. Oddly enough, a guy is now in the Mile High City. How's that happen for Randy Gregory? I mean, I wonder if he just saw Mile High City. That's got to be my city. I mean, I'm thinking there. That's where I'm going to land. So there's two starters for you, O'Shawn Mathis, and we've got Casey Thompson. Let's see. The other one I would point out is Tommy Hill, transfer from Arizona State. He's a defensive back. I think maybe the fastest guy on the team. He's got to be up there as far as speed. You've heard really good reviews for Tommy Hill. And who's the other starter outside of Quentin Newsom? You've heard Braxton Clark, maybe, but I'm going to bank on Tommy Hill being another starter. So that's 3. Devin Drew, transfer from Texas Tech, defensive tackle, 4. You need defensive tackles. Casey Thompson just left town. Inexplicable. Casey Rogers. Casey Thompson is the quarterback. Casey Rogers leaving town. So that's 4 with Devin Drew, defensive tackle, transfer from Texas Tech. Wanted to be closer to home. His family lives in Kansas City, and now he's in Lincoln, Nebraska. Number 5, special teams guy, Tommy Bleekrode, who did not play in the spring game.
Well, he's not here yet. So,
he's not. Well, I think he was on the sidelines for that game.
He was, but he's not. He was finishing up at Furman.
Right.
Yeah.
Furman, transfer from Furman, and then Brian Buscemi from, I believe, Montana. Was it Montana or Montana State?
It was Montana, and before that, he was in the band Airheads with Brendan Fraser and his cousin Steve Buscemi.
Known fact, Brian Buscemi was in Airheads before Steve Buscemi was in Airheads. That is a reference that I don't know how many of our listeners would even get.
Yeah, we're old.
We're really old. I don't think a lot of people would get that, but he is going to be the punter, and I believe the starter. Omar Brown. So what are we up to, 6 or 7?
That's
6
or 7.
I see. You're the accountant, so I'm going to rely on you, Mike Melbye, the accountant of us two, to keep track of any time I do math on this show. You're going to have to do it.
Okay.
So just like 1, 2. Yep, that's 6 starters. Then Omar Brown is iffy. I don't think Omar Brown will be a starter, but he's a transfer from Northern Iowa. Was an all-conference type performer. I think he has a potential to. Trey Palmer, I do believe, will be a starter. So that's 7.
Yep. And I'm going to add one more. You already mentioned him, Anthony Grant.
Yeah, I think I said 7, but I think it might be 8.
Yeah.
Tommy Hill may not be a starter, but I think you'll get 7 starters at least from that group. And I don't think Nebraska's done.
They better not be. They need another DT and they need another OT. They just do. So.
Yeah,
you can never have too much depth. Nothing against the guys that are here already, but you're not playing. If we're on offense, you're not playing 60 to 90 snaps a game, and the same on defense. We need depth there, and I hope they go out and get a couple of guys, one on each side on the line.
Well, Kane Williams is visiting next weekend. They didn't have any visitors this weekend for Husker football. But Kane Williams is a safety transfer from Alabama. It makes me think, yeah, if he's great, I guess it's best player available type thing. If he's great, bring him in. If you think he could be a starter, otherwise, I'm going. No, you still need a defensive tackle, and you probably need an offensive tackle. You've heard that Nebraska is after Lamar Goods, defensive tackle from Florida, and also Stephen Wynn from Alabama, who did see quite a bit of playing time for Alabama this past season. So, who knows how many guys that what Nebraska came out of the recruiting season like 30th or 40th, maybe lower than that. I wonder if you put in all these guys, you combine the regular recruiting rankings with the transfer portal, Nebraska's got to be top 20, 15 maybe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Not that it means anything. It doesn't mean anything, obviously, because it hasn't led. Scott Frost in the first 3 years here at Nebraska has been top 15. And last time I checked, they're not winning football games, and they still haven't been to a bowl game. But, nonetheless.
Exactly. But it'll be interesting. Hopefully they do wind up with a couple of more guys, and it's on the line. If we do pick up the safety, though, you know what? It doesn't hurt to have depth back in the defensive backfield either. So
there's a lot of things I want to hit on in the show. We are going to talk golf on this show.
Yeah, we probably should. I think combined, the two of us have probably played somewhere north of 10,000 rounds of golf.
Mike was a very good high school golfer. I was a terrible high school golfer, but I play a lot of golf. So I'm going to talk about golf because I really like golf on this show. We'll talk a little NBA playoffs yet to come. Also, Day by Day. How excited are you to see the movie Day by Day?
I'm excited to see it when I don't have to pay the prices to get in to see it that I saw they're charging at the Rococo. I know it's probably going for a good cause and all that. So for everybody that can, it's not that big a deal. It's going to be awesome. But I think that in-depthness of it and Josh Davis and the way he's promoted it, talking about, there's stories you've heard. There's stories you haven't heard.
Right. So we'll talk on all of that stuff. Also the Kentucky Derby, an 80-1 wins the Kentucky Derby. So there's a lot of stuff to hit. Hey, we might recycle a few things that we've hit on as well. We'd love to hear from you. 464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line. It's the debut of the Sunday Rewind. How did we do in the first 25 minutes of the show? Nailed it. Hit it out of the park.
Talked faster than I ever have. So
that's really good. Back with more after this.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 330 North 48th Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Hey, sports fans. Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for his Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Your business is our business. To get your free quote and switch today, visit allofiber.com/workfast or call 402-480-6685 today.
Hey, it's Nicklin Hames from Nebraska Volleyball. I hate wasting time in practice, and I want to help you stop wasting your time when you're looking for an electrician. High Electric has been serving the area for over 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They are experts in everything like remodeling, new additions, hot tub installation, and more. And they take jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at high-electric.com.
James Enterprise Incorporated, that company that hauls your gravel, rocks, and material for your farm or construction site, says, thank you to the people of the healthcare community for putting yourself in the way of danger to save the public. That is what it means to be a hero and to build a beautiful legacy. This message brought to you by James Enterprise Incorporated. For all your hauling of rock, gravel, and materials, call them at 402-432-6740. That's 402-432-6740.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $22.07 per hour and other select jobs starting at $23.77 per hour, with wages growing up to $29.71 per hour. Continental also has salaried jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Hey, Steve. Welcome to Great Clips.
Great Clips asks, what's the difference between good and great?
Come on back and have a seat.
Good asks you what haircut you'd like.
I have all your details from last time. Would you like the same haircut today?
Great already knows. With Clip Notes, we save your haircut details so you can get the same thing as last time, every time. Download our online check-in app today. Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
Back to the Sunday Rewind with Tom and Mike.
That's old school.
Yeah? No school like the old school.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right, Sonny.
All right. That's not even nice, Mark.
No, it's not.
Well, yeah, the sad thing is I'm the one that was like, you know what drop we ought to use? Because Tom and I are really old.
Well, you got it in. Don't ever say anything around Mark. He'll nail you on that.
Okay, so I've got to give Mark props, and you know this as well as I do, and we're going to have some fun with it, I think, on this show. But Mark is one of the best producers, especially on the fly, that I've ever been around. Right. We gave him an idea. I was filling in with you. I don't remember who you were partnering with at the time, but we were sitting here and we said, oh, you know what we ought to do is this one bit with the practice, because they were talking about Scott Frost and Nebraska practices back in 2018. They had a practice DJ. And in about 14 minutes, Mark came up with like a 3-minute segment on a Nebraska football practice DJ that was amazing. And we'll share that probably sometime later on here in the next few weeks.
Now we got to play it.
Are you going to play it?
We got to play it.
Okay.
This is Mark. When the as Mike set it up, I don't really need to say anything else, but I will anyway. Nebraska gets a practice DJ. And this is what we thought the practice DJ would sound like because we're really old. That's not it. That's not it. Here it is. Here's the practice DJ. Here it is.
Good morning, Husker Nation. The time is 8:02. The weather is 47 degrees on the outside, but here in the heart of the action, inside the Hawk Center, it's always a beautiful 72 degrees. We're going to get things going for you guys in just a second, but did you hear about the tornadoes out in Iowa City?
It's a twister. It's a twister.
Pretty bad damage. Luckily, nobody was hurt. They just piled everyone inside Kidding Stadium because they never get touchdowns in there. Ha-ha! That's right, Iowa. You suck at football. 8:03, 47 degrees. Traffic is at a standstill out there, kind of like that Iowa offense. Am I right? Ha-ha! I see our request line is lit up, so let's get right to it. It is 8:04. This one goes out to the quarterback room from an anonymous offensive player. It's Hall & Oates. You make my dreams come true.
That's how old we are. Now everybody in college football pretty much has a practice DJ, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and the funny part of this is
that was I don't think Nebraska was I remember Texas A&M doing it years ago, and they were one of the first that I remember like playing music at practice. Like back, Tom Osborne would never think of playing music at a football practice, right?
I cannot imagine.
I think they do it in college basketball and college football at a very high level. I don't know if they do it in swimming or gymnastics or other sports, but they definitely do it in football.
Okay, everybody, I need you to go into the depths of your brain and your imagination and imagine the look on Coach Osborne's face if someone came up to him and suggested they have a practice DJ.
And if it would have been what it sounded like there. From the 70s. But that was, you're right, though. We gave Mark an idea, and he just runs with it. And that's kind of how I've known Mark for years, especially as a producer. I mean, when I met Mark for the first time, it was the Gaskins and Stevens show. We were one of the first shows on the radio station in 2011 when Nebraska came, or 2012 when Nebraska came into the league, and Mark was right there shortly after, and you would give him ideas, and he would just absolutely run with it.
Absolutely. So we're going to jump through. Let's get into. I want to talk a little NBA playoffs.
Okay.
I'm not a huge NBA fan. I enjoy watching the game. The one thing that I have noticed, and I see it in a little bit of my Twitter feed the people that I follow and the games that I've watched, it's incredibly good basketball right now. Like, I'm stunned. The NBA for a while was stagnant. It was boring. There is still some one-on-one, but there are some one-on-ones now that are just amazing.
By the way, it's not close. I love college basketball, and I'm a bigger college basketball fan.
Same here.
Because I'm a Husker basketball fan. But the quality of basketball is not close.
No.
College basketball, if you like to see a lot of Clanksville, watch college basketball, unless you're watching the marquee programs. And even some of the marquee programs, you're seeing a lot of, 30% from three. I was watching the Celtics and the Bucks. It was like everything was going in.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way it's been. I mean, the quality of basketball in the NBA is just better. It's not even close.
No, not at all. And so from the NBA playoffs right now, you got the Heat up 2-1 on Philly. You got the Bucks and Boston. Bucks are up 2-1. And I believe, did Dallas hang on and win? They were up by 13 last I saw with about 4.5 to play right before we went on the air. So that series is more than likely not at it too. And then the series that I want to talk a little bit about, because it has one of the players that to me transcends the game. He's in his second or third year, Ja Morant, and the code that he mentions after what happened with the potential knee injury from yesterday. I've watched the play. I watched it in slow motion, and I'm sorry if Jordan Poole bumped his knee. That didn't look like there was any intent. He was kind of swiping at the ball. But, flip side is Dylan Brooks tried to decapitate Gary Payton II.
Right.
And the kid blows his elbow out. He's going to miss the rest of this series, possibly the rest of the postseason. And Steve Kerr talks about the code. And so Ja Morant's feelings are hurt because, let's face it, if you've seen the play, both knees went a little weird sideways. Like he could have injured both just from the double team that he was facing right there. I get it. Poole hit his knee. He was trying to swipe at the ball. It didn't look like there was any intent. And
it wasn't.
To go on Twitter and cry about, he violated the code. Really? Ja, you are one of the most amazingly spectacular human beings with a basketball in your hands.
He's phenomenal.
He's Vince Carter to me. He's Dominique Wilkins. They may never be the best player in the league on any given year, right? But they are the guy that you don't want to miss.
He's the most entertaining player in the NBA.
Most entertaining.
He's not the best player. That's probably still Kevin Durant.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, you watch Ja Morant and you go, that is what an alien looks like if they played basketball. Because humans can't do that. Yeah.
I'm kind of a mini Grizzlies fan. They won't beat the Warriors. The Warriors dominated that game.
Yeah.
By the way. But when you talk about breaking some code, I mean, Dennis Rodman, Bill Laimbeer are laughing at that. I mean, the stuff that they call flagrant one or kick guys out for in the NBA today is probably appropriate because you need to, I think, like, Michael Jordan got hammered every time he went near the rim compared to what guys get away with now. You touch Giannis and it's a foul. It drives me crazy. Obviously, I'm a Celtics fan, but watch Giannis almost on every play. He tries to split the double team. He tries to take it to the hole. He's not a great jump shooter. He's not a great three-point shooter. It doesn't take a lot of them, but he rams into guys all the time.
Yeah.
And it's almost never called against Giannis because he's a star. I get it. But going back to what you said, the code, breaking some, I think guys from the 80s and 90s would laugh at this type of stuff.
That's my question for you. Take the best teams today, whether it's the Warriors, back in 2015 when they were as dominant as they ever were, as any team in the NBA history ever had been, especially in the regular season. But put those teams against my team, the Detroit Pistons in 89-90 and 90-91, and you tell me.
But those guys were dirty.
You tell me.
Those guys were dirty.
I don't care. We got really 2 rings because of it.
Hey, the Celtics got many rings, and we were dirty as well.
But I'm just saying, if you put the Warriors of 2015 against the Pistons in 90-91 or 89-90, those back-to-back years where they won, the Warriors simply they'd just cry after every single game, and they'd get swept.
I'll tell you what, when we go to 2 hours on this show, we'll have Eric Strickland on, and we might even, with an hour show, have Eric Strickland on. One of the best defenders in the league. And here's a guy that covered not only Michael Jordan, but Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
I mean, he lived through the best era of basketball probably ever. And whenever we have him on, I've had him on many times, he just doesn't like it. Because he's obviously he played for some of those teams that you're talking about. Played for the Celtics. Played for a lot of different teams. The Mavs, I think, is the team he kind of identifies as his team still today. But he doesn't like the fact that we've gone a little too babyish. As far as the NBA is concerned, I don't think it's horrible. I think you protect the stars to some degree, and if you're protecting Giannis, if you're protecting the Kevin Durant's of the world who always shoot more free throws, or Ja Morant, probably. I'm okay with it. But sometimes not only do you have to be a star, you have to be a star that's played 7-8 years, and Ja isn't there yet.
No, like I said, a couple years in, and I would buy a ticket to any game he's playing in. I don't care what team he's playing for, and I don't care who they're playing against. He's just unbelievable to watch. One real quick side note on Strickland. I've got a couple of stories that I want to run over with him from some old times back when I used to go to practice. You and I used to be massive fans, had season tickets of Nebraska basketball all time. The loudest ovation I ever heard was Bo Reed hitting the three that beat Michigan State when they were number 3 in the country back in 1990. It was the 1991 season. And the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth loudest I ever heard the Devaney Center or PBA were Eric Strickland steals and dunks against anybody. He had an ability to get a crowd so fired up by the energy that he played with and the athleticism that he had. It was insane. I have never seen anybody at the college level that played at Nebraska that was able to do that the way he did. And I see guys that make similar plays on a steal or whatever, and they go up and but he had a knack for just pushing a button that went, scream as loud as they possibly can, right? Boom, now.
And if you were to, we've had this conversation, I think we had it with Bach the other on Friday. If you were to pick a guy from those days of basketball, if you could put him on today's Huskers, like now, Strickland may not be my choice, but he would be among the top 5.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you might go with Rich King, you might go with Eric Piatkowski, you might go with
I'd go with Pike or Teron Lue.
You might go with the toughness of Bo Reed. I mean, they could use a rebounder and a guy or the athleticism of Carl Hayes. I mean, they had a lot of options. Tony Farmer. What would you give for a Tony Farmer on this team?
Well,
6'9", so athletic, could dominate.
It wouldn't be a Blazer with the Tahoe package. I know that. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. But wait, statute of limitations has run out. Never mind.
I mean, that's a good question to have. 464-5685. If one of those guys was in the transfer portal right now, if Eric Strickland's in the transfer portal, if Eric Piatkowski's in the transfer portal, if Rich King, Tony Farmer,
let's go old school. Dave Hoppin.
How would you Dave Hoppin? But that was you're talking Mo Iba.
Dude, you just drooled.
Well, you're talking about the best Husker of all time, but he played for Mo Iba. So you deducted a couple of points from that, even though he was the best Husker basketball player of all time. He's all-time leading scorer.
Yeah.
But if you were having an NBA draft, he today still wouldn't be, of those guys I mentioned, drafted number 1. No. I think all those guys might go ahead of Dave Hoppin. He was just great. And he played for the right coach and all those things. Anyway, moving on from the NBA playoffs, how much time does the NCAA have left in your mind? We're
3 years tops, maybe 2, maybe 18 months.
Mark Emmert, as we know, he have a year left? He's hanging by a thread. He's not a great leader. I think anybody in the Power 5, especially if you're in the SEC or the Big Ten, you're laughing at Mark Emmert. Like, it's like the stepmom that sends you to your room and you're just like, right.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah. All right. Like, I'm going to my room. See ya. I'm going out. I'll be maybe back by 3 a.m.
I'll be back by Tuesday.
Maybe that's terrible on Mother's Day to say that. I apologize to all stepmoms on Mother's Day. What a terrible thing for me to say.
Way to go, Tom.
I'm not criticizing stepmothers. That was a horrible thing to say on Mother's Day.
But you are criticizing Mark Emmert.
I am.
So
it's because you don't take him seriously. He has no power. I mean, if you're paying Quentin Ewers $1 million and you're Texas
to not play,
and Mark Emmert's on the phone with you saying, Steve Sarkisian, I don't think you should do that. I don't think it's good for the game. I think you should only pay him $50,000. You're Sarkisian, you're laughing at him because he has no power. And I think, this whole thing with the NCAA, what is it being called now? What committee?
Hang on, where to go? The transition committee, transformation committee,
and translated that means we're transferring away from Mark Emmert.
Yeah,
and we're rethinking this whole thing.
And last week, Gene Smith, the AD at Ohio State, said, "Let's just break college football and the powers that be out. Let's have our own governing body, the basically FBS." And they're talking about the Power Five, et cetera. Yeah. And then I made the argument with you earlier based on future television contracts with the numbers that look like they're coming out. This isn't the Power Five, folks. There's 30 schools, 30. Right. That's it. SEC has 16. The Big Ten has 14.
Right.
Combined, every school is going to get in the ballpark of $80 million.
Right.
With the new TV contracts coming out. Big 12, Pac-12, and SEC.
They're only getting $30 million.
And
that's
ACC.
terrible.
Yeah. I'm just saying, this is not the FBS and the top 60-ish schools. No, it's 30.
Yeah.
There's 2 conferences. So how do you make the level playing field to include some of the other powers in those conferences? And I think this is why Dabo Sweeney's whining and crying about NIL and everything else.
He sees his power going away.
He's in the ACC, and they've got like 3 schools that may qualify to be a power. And
I
then
still think, I mean, even in the Notre Dame not being a conference, they're fine. I think Notre Dame, at least for now, is going to be fine. I think
after 2 years of Marcus Freeman, are they going to be fine?
I don't know. I think Clemson's going to be fine for now. I still think there is your brand name still matters. I mean, if you're Coke or Pepsi, you're still Coke or Pepsi.
As long as you're not New Coke.
That's right. That never worked out very well. But to your point, I just think the NCAA, whatever you want to call it, Mark Emmert had no power, and we knew that. He was very much against NIL, and yet it happened. Nebraska's to the point where you're going to see a pot. I think they call it the collectives that donate to the pot of money, and it's going to be $10 million a year. It's going to be this beautiful new facility that's being built on the university campus right there by Memorial Stadium, costing $160 million. Will probably be the last of its kind in college football, at least for now, because that money's going to the players. And people will say, there are a lot of people that say, hallelujah, it's about time that the athletes get a big slice of the pie because they made the pie and they deserve to eat that pie. So why not? What's bad about that?
And I'll tell you what's bad about it, kind of. And I know we got to get to break before we get back and wrap this thing up.
We are running late.
Yeah, imagine that. You and I are running late because we talk a lot.
That's right.
The one thing I want to say, though, NIL, I am major props to all the athletes. I'm thrilled they're getting compensated. I'm thrilled that they're finally getting a little bit back. The thing that is the pitfall to me, and this is it's life in general too. You got a quarterback or something, or somebody that's making $500,000 a year, or that's making $200,000 a year, and they graduate college, they go to the NFL, they get a practice team position for a year or two, they make $150,000, and their football career's over. Yeah. They ain't making that much anymore. I mean, this isn't, you're not making tens of millions of dollars to set yourself up for life. Yeah. And this goes back to then. That's where college comes in. That's where the education comes in. There's a pitfall for some of these guys that are making big bucks that are not going to catch on in the NFL or in the NBA. And to me, it's setting, I don't want to say it's setting them up for failure because they're having an opportunity, and I rambled and we need to get out.
No, let's put a pin in that conversation because I want to continue it. I don't think we're done with NIL. Probably for the rest of our life on this show. NIL is going to be a big topic of conversation. But how much does Nebraska benefit going forward? Because most of the people I hear complain about it and complain about it in a big way, but Nebraska might benefit from it the whole way. Let's get to that conversation. We'll do it next.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Hey, it's Nelson. We all know life gets a little hectic. You're just looking for that right amount of balance for stress relief with your busy lifestyle while trying to not break the bank. That's why you got to stop by the newest Caterpillar Vapes location right here in Lincoln, 2601 North 11th Street. The Caterpillar team is made up of people just like you, wanting the best product at the best price. They can walk you through the largest selection in town, answer any questions, and find you that perfect balance. First-time customers get 50% off their entire purchase. Stop in and see for yourself. For more, find them on Facebook or online at CaterpillarVapes.com.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sure.
Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Brown Shoe Fit is gearing up for spring with new inventory on the way. They're stocking up on new spring sandals and athletic shoes daily in brands like Brooks, Hoka, Keen, Merrill, On, and many, many more. Browns has the local professionals to get the proper fit, aided by their high-tech foot scanner by Atrax. Spring is the season to be active and busy. Don't let your feet lose their support with old rundown shoes or sandals. Stop by Brown's Shoe Fit today, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
If you need to sell equipment and trucks, Ritchie Brothers' new Lincoln Storage Yard lets you free up space at your property and get local access to all Ritchie Brothers auctions. Drop your equipment off and sell it online at any Ritchie Brothers auction, Iron Planet, or via Marketplace E. The yard is at 8801 Highway 6 in Lincoln. It's secure and makes for easy in-person buyer inspections and pickup. Take advantage of this yard to sell at Ritchie Brothers Great Plains Regional Auction on June 16th. For details, visit rbauction.com/Lincoln.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
This is the Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
And welcome back to the Sunday Rewind. I'm Mike Melbye. That's Tom Stevens.
Yep, that's me.
It is.
That's you.
I found a mirror, and you know what it was.
I'm sitting over here.
That's right.
Yep.
NIL, we were just talking about it. The point I made was, to me, there's potential pitfalls with guys that are making $500,000 a year. All of a sudden, something happens. Their college career's over. What do they do? Because they're trying to live a lifestyle. They may not be as smart with the money, et cetera. This is one of those where high schools that started doing financial classes for kids to, hey, what's real life like with a checkbook and how do you write checks? And these days, how do you
taxes?
Yeah. How do you pay all that? I hope that schools, and I know Nebraska is, have it set up to educate their athletes on what to do, how to plan for the future, how to not have a posse, how to not work. I mean, don't flash your money around, save it. Look to the future, etc., and teach them the smart way to do things. Now, the wrong and horrible thing to do with money is to gamble $40 million.
How's that even possible? I mean, wouldn't you like to have enough money where you could gamble $40 million away? Michael Jordan and Phil Mickelson are the only two guys I know that's had enough money to do that.
Exactly.
I mean, if I gambled $40 million away, I'm $40 million in debt.
So they're not the only two. Tiger Woods could also gamble $40 million and lose it. The thing is, he's not that bad of a gambler because he gambles.
Oh yeah.
So,
I wonder what the percentage of professional athletes are that gamble.
I don't want to say it's like 90, but I would say it's probably at least 50.
You think it's that high?
No, I was going to say I would like to say it's probably just from my mindset, but I would bet it's probably 50, and I would say it may be as high as 15 or 20% that gamble on their own sport.
Yeah, that's probably true. So, but Phil Mickelson, you mentioned it. The story came out between 2010 and 2014. He gambled away $40 million. He was making at that time $40 million a year. That was the heyday of Phil Mickelson's career. But he gambled away $40 million, and allegedly that's the reason he wanted to join the Saudi league. Like, he needed a big check given to him, and so he started complaining about the PGA Tour and how archaic it is and old-fashioned, and I think it had to do with the gambling debt, right?
I almost guarantee you it had to do with the gambling debt that is probably now forgiven. And I'll tell you right now, I don't think he ever plays on the PGA Tour again after that first tournament with the Saudis. And their new tournament.
Well, he'll play in the PGA Tour this year, the PGA Tour Championship.
Granted.
He's already said he will.
But then a couple of weeks after is when this first tournament is with the new league.
Yeah.
And I think when he plays in that, I think Tim Finchman and the PGA Tour and the powers that be say, Phil and Sergio, by the way, who
Sergio
was yelling at a rules official
Good
who granted was
to
wrong.
Sergio, by the way. Who cares if we lose Sergio?
But I hope they do give him a lifetime ban. They're trying to I don't know. The stuff that he said too about they've got an $80 million war chest and all this stuff, and they're hiding money from charities and from the player. I don't buy any of that stuff.
I don't buy
it's
a single thing. It's Phil being Phil.
It is.
He's a weirdo. But I actually became a fan. That's the thing. I was never a Phil fan. I was always a Tiger guy. But I became a Phil fan because he won the PGA Championship, right?
He did. And you know who else won something pretty cool? Rich Strike. And that is a horse that went off at 80-1 at Churchill Downs yesterday, paid $163.60 to win on a $2 ticket. Got in 30 seconds before the deadline on Friday when Ethereal Road was scratched from the Derby, and nobody saw it coming. Zandon and
Did you bet on
Epicenter.
Rich Strike? Did you bet $1 million on Rich Strike?
I bet a small amount of money on Mo Donegal. And so obviously,
that's right. You had that on Friday. Why wouldn't you bet Rich Strike? If you want to get rich, why wouldn't you bet on Rich Strike?
I'll be honest. I didn't recognize the name when I saw it pop up when I was watching the Derby. I'm like, did I miss this horse? But yeah, I did, because he didn't get added to the field until 30 seconds before the deadline.
81 paid $163 to win. We are out. We'll see you
next Sunday.
The Sunday Rewind. Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Dave Austed from Austed's Golf. Let us make this your best season yet. Voted a top 100 fitter by Golf Digest, our master fitters have been trained by the